All right, all right, all right. I think we are live. Let's see here. Yes, we are. All right. Welcome to. Why am I laughing already? Welcome to episode. Shit, I don't have the screen up. I think it's 698 of the Black Brain Trust. This is Black Cultural Intelligence. We're going to talk about the curious case of Manosphere Lesser, aka Manosphere 2.0. The hell's going on over there, man? You notice I said there, right? Not here. There. The fuck is going on over there? I should be joined here shortly by my co-host Mike V. There we go. There we go. Boom. All right, I got the screen up over there. All right, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, man. So this is just gonna be a quick one, maybe like about 40, 45 minutes before I head out to my contract gig. Um, I swear, dude. Like, what the fuck? It's like Reset City over there, man. Jeez, what the hell's going on, man? Was it Educated Lamb and Pookie and Ray Ray revisited Reduxed for probably like what, like about the eighth fucking time already? And what about what else? Gender War, right? And well, let's see what else. Like that's about five times. You got what? Let's see. Being on your purpose, right? How many times you guys heard that one? Let me tell you something, dude. Manosphere 2.0 is a fucking echo chamber, okay? That's all it is. It's just a bunch of people just repeat a bunch of shit over and over and over and over and over. And I would dare say that pretty much anyone who dibbles and dabbles in that circle has some sort of psychosis. Legit. Has like legit some sort of psychosis. I'm talking about on some like Eduardo El Hurricano type diarrhea of the mouth type circular conversation type shit. It's just everywhere. Everywhere, dude. It's all over. Listen, we saw this coming back in 2018. That's why this channel exists, okay? So that's what this live stream really is about, right? Because there has always been a distinctive class within the manosphere, okay? Let's make no fucking mistakes about it. I totally got into this like right off the rip and did not do this. Welcome everyone. I gotta welcome everybody. I gotta do that. I don't want to be rude. And then press if the sound is good. So if you guys hear music and the sound is good, can you give me a deuce deuce? Show do appreciate it. So yeah, man. Dude, that is some terrible shit going on over there, and it's only gonna get terribler. Okay. Um, yeah, it's really awful. You know, in the face of shit. Let's talk about the trucker blockade, right? Which is now going to start spreading down into the U.S. here because it's now made its way through the Ambassador Bridge, which bridges Canada to the U.S. via Detroit, one of the main channels for supply chain, right? That blockade is going to ultimately make its way down to the U.S. Capitol, I think, in March or April. You see, um, so in the face of all of these types of things, right? Rather than talk about how you set up digital infrastructure to serve as a countermeasure to these changes, what we're going to do is talk about killing pookies or something rather. From what I hear, Dennis Sperling, was that you? Did you lawyer? You said this? Okay, interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, even the sort of "I told you so" commentary, from the likes of the Ramil types. What did you tell? The obvious. Once again, the obvious was seen for close to 4 years ago. Okay, why do people pretend as if this channel has not been here? Why do they pretend as if the Black Brain Trust has not existed this whole time? Do we shine a different light? Is that what it is, perhaps? I don't know. You guys tell me, man. Because, dude, like, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, between the lack of intelligence I'm typically and routinely experiencing on the women's side, and then just the sheer and utter stupidity on the men's side, I'm just like pretty much a good portion of the Manospherians, both male and female, are a lost cause at this point. Whether it's the boomer class, right, conducting circular conversations telling you there's no hope, and it's not about hope, it's about knowledge. Or let me just say this, it's about application of knowledge, right? Something that they don't do at their advanced state in age. Okay. Pick the nuggets up, pick the bits up from them, right, that you could use that's of value, but you push forward. You progress forward. You can't progress when you literally are submersed in circular conversations that just keep fucking repeating themselves. Mike Rizzi, you said most stuff is just aimless entertainment. I would dare say that if you are entertained by this shit, you are of the idiocracy at this point. Like, what is entertaining? I mean, what you find entertaining is directly correlative of your level of intelligence, much like the music you consume, the foods you eat, the activities you partake in, right? The circle of people you choose to have yourself around. Okay, all of these things are signs and indicators of intelligence. There we go. Yo, Mike,
Yo,
we all good, bro?
I'm good. You?
Straight, man. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm chilling, man.
Man, I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing out some observations, bro, because yeah, dude, I think the Manosphere writ large, i.e., Manosphere 2.0,
Hmm.
is highly disingenuous when it comes to their an intellectual analysis of things, right? It seems like for whatever reason, uh, provocative conversations about serious subject matters, as a source of entertaining, as a source of entertainment, is more important than actually gaining understanding of situations and circumstances to progress forward. And I'm just seeing, and as things move about in the world, when things stay in stagnation or stay in stasis, what you start to find is that gulf starts to widen and widen and widen, right? You're just seeing more of that 2.0 paradigm just sort of feeding on itself and decaying. What are your observations, bro?
So I think the space is reflective of people who have their own intentions and what their ambitions are, and so the reason why you see so many people gravitate towards time wasted. unproductive content is because that's really a reflection of who they are.
Yes.
Um, when we started this channel, we wanted to have deeper conversations about just fourth industrial, really, um, you know, thought provoking things from a black perspective, right? From a black man's perspective too. And I think what has happened is that people don't really, um, they don't really see themselves from an Afrofuturist standpoint.
Nope.
They don't see any of that. And so in order to be a part of these conversations, you actually have to be um, engaged on the ground too. And you're not seeing a lot of guys who are engaged on the ground, because I go to conferences and things like that all the time, and I don't see a lot of these guys who are, the people who are at these conferences, they're not on YouTube, right? The places I go, they're not on YouTube. But it seems like a lot of these guys who are on YouTube, this is the part of their life, like the time wasting and the non sequiturs and things like that. It's really a part of who they are. And so trying to pull them out of that matrix can do just as much damage as it would if you had left them in there. And so I don't know if the space can actually be reformed in a way that would be beneficial for everyone. I think it's where it is right now is how it's going to be going forward. And I think, when we had these conversations about code of conduct on panels and what you do in the space, a lot of people kind of brushed it off and said, who are you guys to actually, set standards? Because in reality, that's who they are, right? They don't adhere to any standards. They don't adhere to any sort of cooperation with other people. And so they're like, well, we don't need to have standards in the space. Well, if you don't have standards,
only to then call for it.
yeah, if you don't have standards and you don't have organization, what are you going to have?
You got chaos.
Yeah, chaos engineering. And that's what it is. And that's how a lot of black men live their lives, and in complete chaos, where there is no end game for them. The end game is the status quo.
Man, listen, dude. I mean, this is the reason why, man. And let me just kind of shout everybody out who's dropping in here for this quick chop up. We got Engineering Cannabis, Dave Tao, we got Mike Rizzi, Shonda H, LOM. What's going on, you guys? Professor Black Ops. Good morning, all of you. Or good evening or afternoon, I should say, because if you're on the East Coast, it's noon time. So like, dude, there's progression in all things, and some things just simply die out. But that, so for example, dude, like with hip hop and shit, right? Like certain styles like died out, but like hip hop as the aesthetic itself remain. Even to this day, there's much garbage rap there is out here, much bullshit there is out here. There's literally dope shit on the low too. And we've always been underground cats, right? So we always gonna dig up and find gems, right? And so the reality is that it's that whole seek and ye shall find axiom. It's not as if what those that are pining for code, those that are pining for educating on what the moves are going into the future and all that, it's not as if that shit don't exist. Motherfuckers just don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to adhere to it, right? Because it sets a new standard. And see, if you're on the dumb shit, if you're on the fuck shit, and that's all you about, right? You're on the non-progressive shit. You on the, the black woman's gonna stop me from getting out here and getting the shit. If you on that dumb shit, then yeah, you ain't gonna really seek out spots like this, now are you? You're gonna get stuck on this dumb shit, and that dumb shit's just gonna keep getting dumber and dumber and dumber. Why? Because the environment is calling for more and more and more intelligence as we progress.
And I, it's a good point that you're making. I think that we're in a time right now where it was unpredicted and unpredictable that a pandemic would shift society, the global society, in the way that we're seeing it right now. And we see a lot of brothers get caught flat-footed when it came time for the transition. Society is moving in a way that the culture can't keep up with. And I'm talking about the culture that we're, in terms of online content and streaming and things of that nature, the
Right.
social media aspect, it's transitioning in a way that they can't keep up with. And so that's why you see all of these sort of fallouts over meaningless acronyms and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the rest of society has already moved on. They already got vaccinated. They've already got, electric vehicles. They already have, shifted the lanes to have bike lanes now. Now we have drones, making
We're already
deliveries and that.
launching. What was it from the micro fulfillment live stream we did? Right.
Mhm.
We got the whole connected locker sort of micro fulfillment infrastructure now starting to get built out.
Mhm. No,
Right.
yeah,
Like it's man.
no, that's true. And I'm saying where we were in 2020 prior to March is not where we are today.
Dude,
In
it's
February,
2 years, dude. 2 years.
right, a dramatic shift, a tectonic shift has happened, and a lot of brothers are still having the conversations back then that they're having now.
It's it.
So
Oh my god.
if your mind hasn't adjusted to that societal shift, I don't see how you can talk about the future because you haven't made that transition either. You haven't kept pace with it.
And not this applies to the women too.
Well,
This
women
applies.
women
This
will
applies to
adapt.
both sides. I mean,
That's
that's the
true.
thing.
That's true. But
Yeah.
women will adapt to the environment as long as the
Well,
ground
yeah.
is
Well, I mean,
fertile enough for them, right? They have no choice but to adapt to it. But
well,
for a lot of black
and that's the
men,
thing that
yeah,
we see. They're quickly doing that type of shit, right? But
yeah.
I mean, like I said, dude, all these female channels that are
Mhm,
popping up,
mhm,
right? That are kind of speaking to the dysfunction of the female side.
mhm,
That's indicative of that adaptation that you're talking about because
mhm.
we didn't see that just a scant year or two ago.
Yeah.
We didn't see that, right? See, so that's what you're talking about is indicative. That is indicative of what you're talking about. But dude, go and look at 2.0. Holy fucking shit, bro. You're still in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and apparently 2022.
We've
Meanwhile,
no, we've gone through two different presidents, and the conversation hasn't changed.
fuck.
Think about that. Our democracy was at
Wow.
stake, right?
Oh,
You had an insurrection at the Capitol where the state of the country, the status quo of the country was at stake, um, and of high priority. But that didn't help black men actually change their perspective on society as a whole. A pandemic hadn't really changed a lot of black men's priorities. And so,
no, it's still about a gender war. Like you
yeah,
got a whole pandemic, dude. It's still about a gender war.
right, right.
Are you? Oh my god.
Well, not even so much of a gender war, but more about um, it, it's more about just time wasting things, right? Things that don't really lead to anything. And so you're sitting and you listen to it, and you're like, I thought I heard this conversation before. Oh yeah, I did. That was in 2019. So now we have people using analytics as currency to say my boy is richer than you because he got this many subs or he's doing this many numbers
Got
per
these
live stream.
comments.
Right, right. And so analytics have become currency. Subscribers have become about popularity. But if you ask these guys to actually go out and raise money through a venture capitalist, they'll come back with goose eggs because that doesn't translate well into the real world. And so I think what we're dealing with here now is that there's just a lot of black men who are being exposed, not so much for being criminals, but being negligent in keeping up with the societal shift
Right.
during the pandemic. There's a lot of opportunities out there that's popping up, and we're seeing this. If you follow my Twitter feed on the Progressive Brothers podcast, and you'll see how many people are coming up during the pandemic and how few black men in this space are actually having that conversation. I'm not talking about a few bucks here and a few bucks there. You're talking about micro mobility.
No, we're talking millions.
Yeah, you're talking about micro mobility platforms, having evaluations of 2 billion, 4 billion, 8 billion dollars, and this is happening in our face. Bird scooters started in 2017, and by 2020, by the start of the pandemic, they had a valuation of $2 billion.
Tell me about it. I worked for him.
Yeah, and this is part of um, this is part of the struggle for a lot of black men, where they say, well, we have to stop illegal immigration, or we have to close our borders, we have to do all these other things that really don't actually have any impact on you. That doesn't matter who comes through the border or not, because you weren't taking advantage of those opportunities yourself. So what are we talking about here?
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I guess if you really aren't knowledgeable of future movements and forward movements, you're going to kind of be concerned with whatever crumbs you think you have.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, not what crumbs you think you have, what crumbs you think somebody else is going to take from you.
Right.
Because that's really what this comes down to. Instead of getting the opportunities, right, where there's greener, where there's I don't even want to say there's green pastures, where there's pastures for you to plant to get all the green you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As opposed to pursuing that angle, what we're going to do is say, well, we never got fill in the blank.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Meanwhile, we were 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we were over here throwing out weed-based reparations measures, right? Only for Evanston, Illinois to do what?
Exactly that. And now you're seeing legalization happen across the country. You got California, who has some of the biggest, one of the biggest, larger industries for legalization of cannabis, having $30 billion in revenue.
How much of that are we getting, man? How much of that are we scratching on?
I think black people have anywhere between, maybe anywhere between 1 and 10% of that market. But a lot of these guys aren't having that conversation. And when we did try to have the conversation, the first thing they said was, well, I don't smoke. Well, what about the supply chain logistics? What about, the land,
the tech side of it? What about the container growing aspect of it? What about the extracts?
Yeah, what about consultancies, right? The land acquisition of it, repurposing land. These are the sort of things that sort of conversation that you and I were having, 2, 3, back during the Trump administration.
They're still up, Mike. That's the killer part.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who don't see any value in it, and that's because in their personal life, that's not a priority.
So wait a minute. You mean to tell me that conversations that you could literally go and dig into the archives right now, go to the playlist, all the shit's broken up, it's all organized, it's all categorized. You mean to tell me that people would prefer to stay stuck in today's circular ass arguments in the manosphere rather than go back and grab information from 2.5 years ago that could advance them today? Is that what you're telling me?
I think so.
Wow.
Even though the channel has been broken down into segments where you can actually, sift through it. It's not like, oh, well, it's hidden. The title made it difficult to find. No, it's kind of already structured.
Black cannabis talk.
Yeah, amazing ideas.
How obvious do you have to make it?
Right, a lot amazing ideas came out of that, and I mean, you and I have capitalized off of that. I've been a part of talk with indigenous people, Native Americans about repurposing land.
Listen, man.
I posted a we had a live stream a couple years ago talking about guerrilla farming and the guerrilla farming aspect. You know, repurposing the land. You know, working with indigenous people, putting up greenhouses and stuff like that.
The black
Um,
communities terraforming the shit.
yeah,
Just type in Black Brain Trust Guerrilla Farming. Watch what comes up.
yeah, UFI Urban Farming Institute, which is run by a brother too. He started that. You know, we put a lot of these ideas out there long before Seven Candles became a thing, right? And funny enough, when we started this channel, it was that guy who said, "You guys are a bunch of business snobs, a bunch of snobs."
Snobs. Yeah, you remember
Remember
that?
that? Remember that? We were
We were
snobs.
snobs, dude. 2018, 2019. We were snobs.
No, not even that.
No,
2017.
2017, 2018, we were
27.
snobs.
Yeah, 2017. We were a bunch of snobs
We were a
for
bunch of
trying to have
snobs.
these conversations.
That's
Who are you
right.
guys to be having these sort of conversations, right? You're
That's
a bunch of
right.
snobs.
Sure the fuck were. We were snobs.
But now that he is where he is, suddenly he has credibility.
You're
But he's
average
not
at
a
best.
snob though, right?
You're average at best.
Yeah, but he's not a snob, right? And so I always find it interesting that now today he's the center of attention for talking to who name your celebrity or whatever one-on-one he had on IG or something like that.
Yeah.
But when it came down to actually talking about making some serious significant moves, a lot of those guys who were campaigning for him now were nowhere to be found over here.
When have they ever been found over here? When have 2.0 cats, like writ large, right?
Mhm.
Really fucked with this. See, this was the point I was making at the beginning, man. Before you hopped on, is that listen, we knew, dude, the distinction occurred in 2.0, right? That's where the nuclei split,
Mhm.
right? And this became 3.0. We set the standard. It's in the about section. Go read it if you guys haven't checked it out. It's been there since day one. And the only thing that's happened here is that this nuclei has, over the course of time,
Mhm.
right, developed and grown, right, to have
Mhm.
more molecules developing within it. Meanwhile, the other shit has been breaking down. It's decaying. It's a dying, like, multi-celled organism. Like when you look at that shit under a microscope, and you just see the shit kind of just disintegrating, like a cellular organism. That's 2.0. It's basically the same conversation eating itself and disintegrating and decaying. And that's what everybody's sitting over here saying, oh, the space is dead, the space is dead, the space is dead. Like this space, if you need, like, if you were to, like, literally look up the word this, it's literally defines, like, where you exist in that moment. Right? And that is elsewhere. So if something else is going on elsewhere, you can't really talk about this space writ large. You're talking about literally the space to which you exist in. So if in each and every YouTube venue, i.e. channel, it's always what are the tropes, Mike? What are the tropes? Um uh uh I've lost count of what the tropes are nowadays in 2.0, right? With regards to the chicks, what is it? You got to, what do you got to do with them nowadays? Well, I don't even know what they're talking about. You got to do with chicks nowadays. What are the tropes in 2.0?
Oh, I can't even tell you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't know what they are anymore. I remember it used to be like game. I remember game was a thing. Like, what was that? 2020?
Yeah, everything was game.
Yeah. Game was, yeah. Everything was game. Like 2019, 2020. It was all game, right? And
Yeah,
then that kind of went away. You notice that?
yeah, because the language has changed, but the players remain the same.
I
But
mean,
that's the limitation of black male thought in this space, and that's why originally I came up with the sapiosexual series.
yes. And I've always told people, look, Mike did the first ones. I just took it and ran with it.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was running into women in the diaspora who were having different conversations than what you're hearing in this space. And one of the women that really inspired me to even run that series was I think her name is Chiamanda, if I remember correct. She's a Nigerian author who
Yeah,
graduated from HBCU. Amazing woman, man. Um, and her thought process was beyond anything I had ever heard before from a black woman. She was on a different level
yeah,
of conversation. She
yep,
was intellectually, you know, pounding on, you know, uh, uh, some of these feminists and some of these Europeans and these liberals and stuff like that, and just she wrote a book too. I'll see if I can link it and put it in the chat. But the point that I'm making here is women in the diaspora were having a different conversation than what was happening here.
you're
And I
right.
thought we should actually be paying homage to people like this, women like this. Like we didn't do things like that. And I think a lot of guys didn't understand the term. And so when you brought it up on another channel, they tried to shame you and tried to embarrass you. But in reality, they themselves didn't know what it was.
Well,
Right.
shit. I mean, Mike, I could even speak to it from a marriage standpoint. That was the thing.
Yeah.
That's why I knew where you were going with it, right?
Mhm.
So then it was sort of like, well, shit. I could give it an angle based on how the relationship that I had with my wife developed into a marriage, and it has more to do with the mind more than anything else, bro. Right?
Mhm.
And so in this whole sort of shift in this change in paradigm, that's the only kind of true bonds and true connections you're going to form going forward. See, in that 2.0 space, okay, yeah, here's where we go. So we got it. We was is salaries, right? Salaries and you know, a woman's agency to have sex with whoever she wants, and it's all that crap. It's all that crap. And truth be told, man, it's it's like, dude, like because of the type of shit we move on a daily. You already know, man. We stay texting and calling each other. We already know what the moves are on this end. I know what's going on over there, and with a few other brothers, it's the same shit, right? All that bullshit is the least of our concerns.
Mhm.
It's way more out here on the table. Way more. That's what I'm saying. Them greener pastures. It's like it's like when you it's an analogy I recall, man. And Mike, can you drop the Progressive Brothers channel in the chat? I
Yeah.
was trying to pull that up. Yeah, yeah, drop that, man. Um, it's basically when they talk about the view out the front windshield of the car is way greater, right? It's 180-degree panoramic when you go from your left uh, door window and then across the windshield and then across to the passenger side window, right? But see, when you want to look behind you, it's this small little tiny ass mirror,
Mhm.
right? See, so the view of the past or what's behind you is very, very, very small, whereas the view ahead of you is 180 degrees in front of you. And it's a damn shame that what most people want to do is focus on the view that's in that goddamn mirror. Whereas the view in front of them is a 180-degree panoramic, bro. It's like, goddamn, there's so much out here. Focused on the wrong shit.
Well, you also have people who fetishize this, the space for the wrong reasons. Women and men. You have, the subscriber supremacy aspect, the fetishization of that, and then you have some women who fetishize avatars or the baritone of a man's voice or um, using certain content creators as a bulwark against who they have a personal gripe against. And so the space has been overrun with just people who fell into the space for all the wrong reasons. They stumbled across it because something went viral or somebody went viral. And so they came here because of that. But they didn't come here searching for enlightenment. They didn't come
Right.
here for that, right? They came here for something different. And so our channel caters to the space in a different, it comes from a different angle. It looks at things differently. And so we have a more,
It's like a 30,000 foot view.
yeah, 30,000 feet versus
10 or 5.
the 1 foot,
One.
one foot, yeah, the nearsighted versus the farsighted, right?
Right.
And so this what you have is a lot of people who come here to consume all the toxic nature of it, but then they see a channel like this and they completely avoid it. Like, because we can look at the analytics and we can see how much time is being spent on certain types of content. Because remember, we did a stream a few years ago and we changed the title. I forget what the title was. It was something about do black women like black men?
I remember you did that shit.
Yeah, do black women like black men with suspenders? And like 200 people showed up in here, man. And I changed the title to like,
and then you changed it like
right, and immediately 80% of the people dropped off.
Oh, I've been tempted to do that shit, dude. I've been tempted to do that, man. I remember when you did that shit. That was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. And so that's the sort of things that I'm talking about. Some people come here for all the the wrong intentions and the wrong reasons. And so when we were every single week we had featured a black boy who was doing well in some way, shape, or form, whether he got the honor roll, he invented something, he did something inspirational. We featured that boy on the channel. And so a lot of these guys who are now saying, oh, well, what about black boys? They're using them as hostages, like
dude, like a fucking shield and shit, right?
Yeah, human shield.
Yeah. Good
right. And so that's the stuff that I'm talking about, because not everybody, I'm black male first and I'm black male second and third and fourth and all this other stuff. But in reality, they're not invested into anything. Offline, they're not invested into anything.
They invested in shit. I mean, dude, like, I told you, man, I gotta get that VPS set up so I can start doing the whatchamacallits again, like the 24/7 streams, because I want to do the. It's like, dude, I hate rehashing shit when we hashed it out, right? See, so what we can have is make it available readily. Then it works better, right? Because it's already been dissected and dialogued, right? So let me work on getting that done. The other thing, though, is like, man, dude, like with the ghost kitchen shit that we talked about. See, my issue, bro, is that like we will, if we keep doing the same thing, it keeps us from looking at like the ghost kitchen and the micro fulfillment, right? Because we've been pushing micro mobility for how many years? Shit, December 2018. That was when we did the first micro mobility, episode 108, I think it is. Okay, that was the first one, right? And it's been a common theme along with everything else. And now we're up to at this point where now we're looking at millions and millions of dollars on the table. We covered it in articles. Bolt, Hellbiz, the other one. Dude, did you peep that autonomous store? I text you, I think it's called Bloom and Flourish or something like that.
Yeah.
It's black owned. It's like in Lafayette. It's y'all got to check this shit out. There is a black owned autonomous grocery store in Lafayette, Georgia. They got bots delivering their shit. You guys think we've been fucking around this whole time? No, there's some folks out there that get it.
People were laughing at us when Black Panther came out and they were talking about Wakanda. People made a running joke out of it. But what Black Panther did, Ryan Coogler did with that movie, was give you a template into what a black Afrofuturistic society would look like from an Afrofuturist.
It was an imprint.
Right. And so people thought that, that's just a movie. But in reality, it's a base starting point for where you want to go if you're really concerned about fourth industrialization and from a black perspective, and people just kind of blew it off and just saw it as entertainment. But you and
They saw
I,
it as a
and
fucking Marvel movie, dude,
yeah,
and not a source of inspiration.
yeah, but you and I were seeing things differently. Then we didn't just see a movie. We saw, oh, that's the template. That's where we need to start from. This is,
Yeah, because we also knew the bots were coming,
yeah,
right? We was already working on the tech that's going to drive it.
yeah.
That's now what I'm fully immersed in as CTO of my company. It's like, okay, well now
Mhm.
I got bought scooters and this and that,
Yeah.
electric cars and all that. And it's a race now. It's a race on an industrial scale. This is where we go back and we start covering the articles, and you're like, okay, well, Bolt's getting $709 million, and this company's getting this, and our little lowly asses have been self-funded this whole time. I got a goddamn gig I got to go to right now to dump more money into the company and shit, for crying out loud.
Well, yeah, and
I mean, it's kind of
I,
like
I, I,
startup shit. You know what I mean?
I understand, but what I'm saying here is the conversation that society, we're in a place in society right now that we're not going back to 2019. That's
No.
never going to happen again.
Nope.
That's just not going to happen. And a lot of guys are now, I did the tech talks for the last couple of years every Saturday morning on the East Coast, or at least every Saturday afternoon, breaking down where guys need to be. This is how you get here. So when people say, well, somebody needs to hold our hands, well, we've kind of already done that. We've read the articles. You didn't have to read them. We disseminated.
The same information is still relevant literally right now.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes it doesn't really bear repeating, when what we have to now do is cover things like this right here, which I'm about to drop. Okay.
Mhm.
Nourish and bloom market. See, so now this is the reason why I say this, and why I always point to the playlist and say, go look, you guys got to dig, because we already fleshed this out. It's not really worthy of the time for us to do it again, when now we're here with it. That link right there, that is a black owned autonomous grocery store that has bots that deliver shit when you order through the app. It's all autonomous. We're here already.
I caught a lot of flack in this space for saying that Africans were at least 10, 15, 20 years ahead of us.
Yeah, okay.
From a intellectual standpoint. And what I meant by that was they have 1/10 the resources that we have, but are getting twice as much work done than we are. And so the conversations are surrounding 7 granules and high value and octanes, and name your
whatever, dude.
Yeah, name your construct. Manosphere constructs don't work in the real world.
They don't, man. This is the real world. That link right there is the real world. Yeah, whole bots.
Yeah, what I'm saying is Manosphere constructs don't work in the real world. So you have to be in this sort of black metaverse that doesn't really lead to anything. You're kind of stuck in it. And that's what I was saying earlier. Taking these guys out of it could actually cause just as much damage as them being in it. And so the channel has to move, the content has to move with the pace of society, or if not, outpace society. Because we were talking about things back then that are just now happening now.
Man, look, Mike, peep Engineering Cannabis's comment. He's talking about the app for Nourish and Bloom.
Yeah.
Peep that shit.
Yeah, and then you connect it to one of the connected doorbells and scan your package with a QR code to let you know that it's here.
It's just, it's almost like everything knows and then just bop. But see, wouldn't y'all feel better if it was black folks running the show? Hey, Mike, I got to cut it short, fam.
Yep.
Because I got to head out. But, man, we had to have this quick chop up, bro, because this shit is wild, bro. This shit is wild, fam.
Yep.
All right, Brody. Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. We'll circle back later, dude.
Absolutely. Peace.
All right, Brody. Go on. All right, y'all. This is just another one of those chop ups on the record, man. Because yeah, motherfuckers want to act like we ain't never been here, and we some day oneers, right? That's the cold part about it. Like we've been here before a lot of motherfuckers came through, and we had a lot of motherfuckers throw dirt on our name. When in all reality, we've been the most thorough motherfuckers this whole time, and we will continue to be. Real shit. All right, so we got to break up out of here. Share, like, if you haven't subbed, sub. Um, and yeah, all the best to Manosphere 2.0. You know what I'm saying? Haha. Peace.